Hi, I'm Andrea, and my presentation for my educational enthusiast would be Mary McLeod Bethune, and it is my honor to present her, especially as we are in actually Black History Month. But Mary McLeod Bethune um, today would be one of the most important people that has influenced education. I would say, especially for African American people, but today for all. Um, just to begin, one of the uniqueness about Miss Bethune that I didn't know that I learned was that she was actually born a free woman, and so she was the first educated person in her family and the first person in her family. And I would say that she really kind of uh, I would say use that as a catalyst to push her forward for change. Um, Mary McLeod Bethune was many things, but I'll start with three of her contributions. And my first one would be that she was a philanthropist. It was the core of who she was. She believed in social justice and social equality, and so she worked to improve social injustice and education for African American girls. She was a leader for effective change, and she worked to develop new concepts for women in education. I would say that her second contribution was that she, after moving to Daytona in 1904, she founded and opened a school for Negro girls, which was basically unheard of during that time. Um, she wanted to train African women to become independent women, and she felt like the way to do that was through education. So founding that school was how she decided to develop Black women um, during those times. And presently, Bethune-Cookman University still educates both men and women. um, One of her last contributions that I would add is that she, along with founding the school, she served as an advisor to former President Roosevelt, where she set educational standards for today's colleges. So, um, some of the standards that we have been developed and changed, but it was some of them that were founded due to her. So that is phenomenal and pivotal for our education today. I would say um, that her educational thoughts and beliefs were all kind of wrapped around this idea of pivoting African American people from poverty to, I guess, a better stance economically in society. Being that she was a well traveled woman, she was able to experience the world from a little bit of a different perspective. And she visited some countries where she didn't experience racial segregation. So she took that belief, and it helped her foster and educate African American women to be educated. And she felt that education should bridge the racial divide. So I would say that her first idea and mission was to advance African American culture out of poverty. Another idea that she had was that education was a tool for change. She believed that education would develop the individual self, and if you develop the individual self, then you would develop women that could work outside of the home and could ultimately take care of themselves and their children if they had anything. So she wanted to develop the individual self by bridging the racial divide. Another idea that she had, or that she adopted, was the hand, head, heart approach. And it says, the head you study to build your intellect, the heart you grow your spiritual life with God, and the hand you acquire practical skills to survive. So she believed in encompassing the whole person, your head, your heart, your mind. and she embodied every bit of this mindset, and it manifested throughout her work in social equality, philanthropy and activism. I would say, moving on, I would say that her critics lied with some of her peers. Um, During that time, some of her peers may have criticized her by saying that she believed in education, um, vocational education, as far as women being able to work outside the home, but her focus should have been on higher education, and not just so much of practical skills. Um, my personal critique would be, it's just that her fight was very phenomenal, and she paved a a great way for African Americans today. But I didn't really see much change for the men during that time. Her fight was more so on women's rights. So if I had to personally critique her, that would be the one critique that I would have. But thank you, and this is the end of my presentation.